Thanks all for joining. We're happy to have you all here. Uh, we will give you a little presentation about a solution which can help transform your store operations and customer experience. I'm Walter Havard from the APG Solutions company. Our company is building cash drawers and cash management solutions. So one of the solutions that we're gonna present, or is part of the solution, is our NetPro cash drawer. It's an IP-based cash drawer which gives you the possibility to work in a mobile environment and to accept payments and have been connected around in the store. But first of all, let me introduce you to Will and Richard.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name's Will, PG, Pakes Getters. I work for Newstore as a customer success manager, looking after the platform, ensuring that the likes of Richard from Footasylum and many other customers across Europe that I look after personally are happy with the solution. Working quite closely with Richard to make sure that the business themselves are using the platform to the best of its efficiencies, and then we work together and build that efficiencies, and we drive those new ideas and thoughts and back into our development and continue to innovate the product. So, what is Newstore in itself? So, Newstore is a globally compliant commerce platform. Essentially, it's an advanced point of sale, which we're really, really excited to use, and obviously Newstore are using that. And it basically brings exceptional customer experiences to point of sale. So we trade with over 85 brands across 55 different countries, proven to drive up to 30% increases in sales through seamless transactions, personalized interactions, and real-time inventory availability. So yeah, I think that's us in a nutshell. It's Richard.
Hello, London. I've always wanted to say that. So I guess you guys are the last here, so thank you for staying around. You must be the most interested in the Footasylum story, but also getting an advantage in retail and omnichannel, and also cash drawers. So I work for Footasylum. I sit in between IT support, the business, retail, profit protection, marketing, all of those departments, and make sure that everything that's happening in store is delivered, that it functions on a day-to-day basis, and that we're driving conversion through footfall from the front of, as soon as somebody walks through the door, right through to paying for an item and taking it home, or having it delivered, as we can do now. We've got 62 stores. One of those stores is a shop called 7 Store, which is our premium brand, and that's based in Liverpool. So if you want any CP or any of the sort of the high-end stuff, you can go to there for that. And then all of the good high-volume products you can find in Oxford Street, in Liverpool, in Manchester, Leeds, all over the UK. So we've got over 60 stores across the country. And that's our Oxford Street store there. That opened in October 23. And that's just a couple of pictures and visuals just to show that how we sort of try to engage with our consumers. We've got a huge, big digital screen as soon as you walk through Oxford Street that all the customers can just see. And in the summer, it's really, really hot. So don't go in there when it's really hot. But it does look amazing as you walk through the door. And what we're trying to do is get our customers through the door, delight them, inspire them, engage them, and show them really what Footasylum's all about. And we've been helped to be able to do that through having the APG cash drawers, having Newstore in store now, and then delivering all of those omnichannel features that we need and our customers expect.
Okay, good stuff. So we've got a couple of questions here for Richard, which we're just going to go through over the next sort of few minutes or so. So the move towards mobile in store and the shopping. So we go on to the next slide. I think we've got the actual question here. So what did Footasylum want to rethink about its traditional process and do when it was moving towards a more mobile shopping experience? So what was, I guess, the strategic thinking, Rich, behind the want to move?
There's a few people that were part of that strategic thinking sat here now, so you know who you are. But back in 2022, Footasylum was purchased by a pink Sorry, did it again. By a
Aurelius?
PE company, yeah, Aurelius. Sorry, Aurelius. The PE, anyway, I'll tell that later. Basically, we were bought out by the private equity firm. They bought us for 37 million, and therefore they had a lot of money left over to invest in efficiencies, in new processes, in driving change throughout the business, because we were coming from a point of view where we had an inbuilt hum POS system. It was built in Java. We had 2 people supporting that pretty much 24/7, or at least when all the stores are open. And we had quite a large IT team. Part of that was they were building our own app. So I joined Footasylum as one of the guys that was sort of leading the then Mac approach to life. So we were building lots of headless systems, lots of apps that could be used in store for mobile point of sale. So we were able to do endless aisle in store, pre-Newstore, but it was on an old device, well, on an iPod. So you had to. It was really, really clunky. And basically, the guys from Aurelius came in and did a review. Obviously, we were quite staff heavy, and we then came to a point and saying, well, do we buy or do we build? Do we go for out-of-the-box feature and functionality, or do we sit there and wait for new features to come along, wait for the ability to ship to store, wait for the ability to do X, Y, and Z? And ultimately, when we compared multiple vendors against our own in-house proposition and solution, we decided to buy. So that's what we did, and we went with Newstore. As you can see there, we've then sort of started to look at then, well, do we want to be iPad? Do we want to be Android? Do we want sort of cash drawers? Do we want? What sort of printers do we want? And all of that conversation then turned into, right, well, this is where we're headed then. So that strategic view was driven by everybody at the private equity firm at Aurelius, who've then been super sort of involved in delivering that vision.
And so were there any concerns about the customer experience, or was that the whole, what was the journey like to kind of think about how that works?
Yeah, so for those people that don't know Footasylum, we are, our slogan is Defy Ordinary. We seem to manage to do that every day. There is no ordinary day at Footasylum. But we are really, really close to our customers. We've got 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Gen X generation who watched our locked-in content over last Christmas were more likely to watch more of our content than they were terrestrial TV. So we're really, really close to our consumer. They know how to find us. They know where we are. They can get us through any of the social channels. They can get us through the Snapchats. They can get us through the live chats that we have online. They know exactly where we are. So we know that they'll tell us if we've done something wrong by them. So everything we do is customer driven through from our in-store experience that you saw in the first couple of slides, by providing that engaging entertainment experience, right through to then, well, how do I pay for my shoes? How do I get them to my house? How do I engage and spend more ultimately with Footasylum? And how do then Footasylum benefit from that relationship by increasing conversion? So our customer relations and customer process was really, really important. We were fortunate enough to have the experience of the MPOS system through the iPod. So we knew roughly sort of where we wanted to go. But because we had multiple devices in store, it was really, really difficult to get that journey connected together. So if somebody wanted to buy a pair of shoes and take them away with them and a jacket and have it shipped home, we'd have to do one transaction on an iPod and faff about with it, and then move on to the fixed till, and then they'd have to go and queue and then pay for those items separately. So what we tried to do is just realise, well, where does the expertise lie in this new journey? So where does the sort of solid point of sale system sit that does exactly what we want it to do? And that's why we went to Newstore, because it does it out of the box.
And you've seen a direct impact on sales. I mean, obviously the results of the last few months sort of speak for themselves, and I guess you can take some of that credit. But
1% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we released our financials a couple of weeks ago. They're up, everything's up, conversions up, profits up, sales are up, people through the door is up, people on the website is up. So the whole team back at head office and in our stores and working across stores to support stores has done a really, really good job. But the impact in sales and operational effectiveness, and I've promised I've not been briefed on anything that I've been about to say, but we offer most shoe providers will offer a service of, can I try those in a size 9? So we use a custom built, it was custom built. It was built for us by Newstore as part of our onboarding. It was built in about 6 months. In year one of us going live, we did about 180,000 of those requests across our store network. So bear in mind that wasn't wholly rolled out then. This year we were 59% up on that, so over 250,000 shouts, a request for products from the stockroom. Our sales for endless aisle, and the whole sort of product mix, service feature mix, is about 10%, whereas it used to be about 2%. So our in-store impact for being able to ship and have mixed baskets and any payment method, including cash or gift card or our unlock scheme, they've been able to just smash it, and it's really easy for the staff to just put the sales through.
Yeah. And just winding back just a couple of moments then. So before you did all of those changes and you've gone on that journey, once it was live and in store, who were the biggest champions of Newstore and the change and the journey to something different from what they were used to? Who are the champions of that?
I think ultimately it was a very much a top-down project. It's not how you would ordinarily run a project, but because of the urgency that we needed to run with in order to achieve what we wanted to achieve, the whole business got around it. So it started out with the PE company and the professionals and the consultants that they're sent in to review it. That then fed through into our retail teams, loss prevention teams, everybody, then into our IT teams. And then that business vision was then sort of set. At that point then, as soon as we were getting into stores, we were able to really work hard with our store associates who loved Newstore. They loved the ability to have it on the phone or have it on an iPad and being able to wander around the store and do what they needed to do without having to sort of think about, I need to get back to my cash desk. So it's really the store associates were the key drivers in it. And I was saying to Will last night that, and I've repeatedly said it as well, but it was like catnip. So for those British people amongst us, catnip is like a drug for cats. The more you give them, the more they want. So the more features we gave to our store associates, the more they wanted it. The more tills we gave them, the more they wanted more mobile phones, because they could realise the value that they were getting out of the product, but also out of the entire infrastructure that's been set up for them.
Yeah, I love it. You go into the Footasylum, some of the pictures that we'll show in a second, and it's the store associates just love using the product. It's just obvious the way that they can interact with with their customers on the shop floor. It's good. So
so just a couple of quick pictures. So this is Stratford Women's. So if you walk into Stratford Women's now, there's Stratford Women's on the right hand side and there's a normal Footasylum on the left. But the really interesting thing in here is that there's 4 till points in there. I'll give you a prize if you can find them, because that's how well the Newstore and the APG NetPro, the online cash drawers work together. You don't need to have them visible. You don't need to have them sat around on display for people to see, which leaves you more space then for merchandising your shop walls. This is sort of where we've moved to. So does that work? No, it don't work on the screen. So that there, that shows where we've got the APG cash drawers on the shop floor, and then we've built it into the footwear team. So when we're selling shoes, then we've got the pack and wrap station, so you can just buy your shoes, pack it, wrap it, you're done and you're out. So obviously at that point then you can pay by cash, you can pay by card, you can pay by gift card. It's all sat there just waiting to be used by any store associate, because there's no direct link between a store associate and a till, which is really interesting. And then here, just because we wouldn't be corporate if we didn't plug our own brands, but Forenna, but also this fitting rooms there, and we're working now on fitting rooms. So we've sort of worked really hard on the conversion from walking through the shop floor to trying the product on. But once we've tried the product on, we need to convert them to sales. So that's what we're working on now. And again, another picture of just where we have pay here. We have huge pay here signs, but much, much smaller cash desks. So we can be much more effective with merchandising our stores.
Okay, until now really interesting. But what was the biggest impact on the layout change that you had on your stores?
Huge. So when we started the project of implementing Newstore, we had one key objective, was that Newstore had to be present and open and functioning when we opened our Oxford Street store. So there's significant investment from across the business in our flagship store at Oxford Street, and we had to have Newstore in there. So we went to our first opening with Newstore and the APG cash drawers was in Bury. which is up north for those who think that the south is the world, but that's just up north and left at Manchester. But this pictures here sort of shows how we spent nights. We had night teams going in, ripping out the existing cash drawers and then putting the new equipment in. So it's quite an intense process. But the whole structure around how Oxford Street was built is that if you go and visit, upstairs we've got the traditional cash desk. And that was a bit of a safety net for our former retail team because they wanted fixed iPads. Everybody knew where to go. The customers knew what they needed to do. And then downstairs, we've got the remote pods. So that's where we have the APG, well, we've got them everywhere, but the APG NetPro cash drawers, we've got those downstairs to enable those transactions anywhere in store. So in here, this is another one. We've got 3 receipt printers in there. You can't see them, but when you buy footwear, physical receipts are really important to customers. So we can email them as well, but having the physical copy for them to take away with them, I think it's because they're putting them on eBay and doing whatever, but the ability to just print a receipt and give it to the customer without having to go back to the cash desk is really, really important. But what the cash drawers allow us to do is to split out and enable the ability to sell anywhere, because without cash, 30% of our business is cash, it creates that disconnect between a physical entity sat there that you have to trade from to being able to say, well, I can trade here, I can trade there, I could go over there, and it just allows that whole journey to be split up a little bit more. And again, our own brand. This one, just very quickly, is this was the refit we did in Metro, which is again up north near Newcastle. So there was 4 cash desks there. Ordinarily, what we would have done is probably put about 12 in, but because we've got iPhones and the ability to do remote point of sale, we've then got 4 cash desks in there. So we're able to shrink the size of the cash desks and then pay anywhere still, but maximize floor space. And again, it doesn't work. We've got 260 of those in store, the cash drawers, the printers, and we just slot them in here, there, and everywhere, and we create space for them. As long as we've got a network point and a power socket, you can do whatever you want. Okay.
I think you get
Good stuff. Okay, so clearly they're not going to go cashless anytime soon. You mentioned about the sort of 30% stales are still going through the cash drawers at the moment in time. So, but has there been any impact on the speed of transactions and everything like that kind of gets wrapped up in that total transaction time?
Yeah, so sorry, I'll drop to that number before I should have done, but apologies.
Right.
So yeah, 30% of our sales are cash, and around of the rest of those transactions, 65% of those are done through mixed payment methods. So mixed payment methods could be cash and another form. So card, gift card. We've got our loyalty scheme as well. But what we've been able to do by being able to transact anywhere, so this is Oxford Street, and I've said this to everybody, and I'll say it to you, I don't know why that bin is in this picture. It's just ridiculous.
It's the famous bin.
But we promote our loyalty system there, so that customers can sign up, add points, and then redeem them against a transaction. But using Newstore, with the cash drawers, we've been able to then take mixed payment methods, which is not something we could do with our old EPOS system. So it had to be strictly card or strictly cash, although we could do unlocked. So what we've been able to do then is do the blended payment methods, including ClearPay Klarna, using Adyen, and then taking all of that data then, we've been able to understand where a shopper is, what they've bought, and which stores they've visited in the past. So using Adyen's platform and using the data back in Newstore, we're able to see that entire unified shopper journey. So it's really interesting to see, and it's really useful for managing fraud. So we can see where a customer's been to X, Y, Z, and then maybe done a chargeback. So we can see all of that picture and that user journey, and then work to basically prevent that customer from doing us over again.
Yeah, it's really, I know we work quite closely on some of that as well. So would you give any advice to other...
Are we on to the last bit?
Not quite. Would you give any advice to other retailers moving to mobile PARs? Any sort of lessons learned as you've kind of been on that journey?
Got loads of time. So I think I did write down an answer to this question, which for the hardy amongst you, because you are still here, is basically why haven't you already done it? But I think most people here are probably on a journey towards it. But you have to start because the journey that we went through was a rapid one. So we did our transformation, which I know it isn't the quickest anymore, but we did win an award for it for the best omnichannel implementation at the Retail Innovation Technology Hub. We did it in 89 days, but we were able to do that because we worked with a partner, which is Absolute Labs. They've got the experience, the know-how, the drive. Speak to that man over there in glasses. But him and his team, I'll go see Rushy. Rushy's there. Going to speak to Rushy. They've got the experience and the expertise then, not just for the planning it out, delivering it, but then post support as well. But they just helped rip the band-aid off. We were brave, I think. We're a little bit stupid. We moved quickly. There's a phrase, isn't there, which is to move fast and break things. We moved fast, but we didn't intentionally break anything. So we broke what we needed to break, but we kept what we needed to keep. We replaced what we needed to replace, and we were quite sort of diligent in those processes and the exercises. But you need to work with the third parties just to help you push you through that pain barrier. Otherwise, you'll spend months and months and months wondering, should we, could we, when in fact you could have done it. And we did that pre-peak. First went live in our first store in September, and then we were fully in across all of our stores by the December, including the hardware and software rollout. And my last point, because you can tell people what you should do as well, but my last point is to celebrate success. So this is our Huddersfield store. They were our first store as a pilot to go fully mobile. So we removed the iPads. We did away with absolutely everything that they needed to rely on to cling behind the cash desk. And they were the first mobile point of sale first store. So we moved their cash drawers around and made them do what we wanted them to do. And then we celebrated. So our first store that we opened in Bury, I got them a little cookie from Millie's, and I did the same for the staff in Huddersfield as well, because they worked with us and they embraced the change. They tested everything. They fed back to us. They told us what wasn't working, what was working, how we could make things better for them. So yeah, celebrate success as well as reflect on what you need to improve on as well. But just get on with it. Just do it.
Okay. Thanks, Richard, for sharing such an interesting insights. I don't know if there are some further questions from the audience.
Good.
Yes.
That's good.
That's a result.
That means that
Good
you're
story.
really clear on the explanation. So
Yeah, I was just at the APG stand over there as well. They've got some really cool cash drawers that weigh the cash that's in it and then tell you what the discrepancy is instantly. So if you count in your cash, they're amazing. So we're going to look at those. But that's just a little shameless plug, because that is actually quite a decent product. Our loss prevention team will love it.
Yep.
yeah, that will be the next step. That's true. Good. Any further questions?
Yeah, the Wi-Fi. Because we were working with MPOS, so we had the iPods. They're horrendous for Wi-Fi reception anyway. So when we were rolling it out, this is why that internal working was really, really important, and getting into that discipline of making sure that everybody was aware of everything that we were doing. We'd already been doing Wi-Fi audits across the store network. We then started to upgrade the Meraki devices and get those sort of upgraded. Because in the back office, so going back to the shouts as well, one of the problems is in the storeroom at the back. If you've got somebody at the front of the store where we've really concentrated on delivering excellent Wi-Fi, and the back office and back stock room has got 0, and we send a request for a pair of size 9 Nikes, and they don't get it, you're stuffed. The whole loop is broken. So we were already on a journey to improving store Wi-Fi and store reliability. We have issues with new store openings because it takes so long for OpenReach to deliver connections. I think that's something that as an industry we need to look at pushing OpenReach to get better at for enabling our stores, because it's going to take, we want to open stores quicker and we want to move into places quicker, but waiting for OpenReach to catch up and deliver a connection is not really good enough, and trading off of SIM cards equally isn't very good. But yeah, we did, and we worked then with IT to reflect it, and then all the new stores, there's so many Wi-Fi points, more than in this building, ironically, where there's no reception whatsoever. But so yeah,
and it's certainly something that we pick up on as a success manager, and we've gone into new stores and new environments. There's all, obviously UK, and as I guess anywhere, is all shapes and sizes of shops, and sometimes they're away from the actual floor as well. So we get wind of the fact that things that maybe aren't quite right in certain stores. So we encourage the likes of Footasylum and other customers to invest
Oh,
quite strongly in that, because we're Newstore, and the guys using the tills are the first people to feel the pinch when it doesn't work quite right, because they're roaming around the store. So yeah, we make sure that as best we can get your networks as best as
and
good.
we also had Newstore engineers come over from Berlin, and they spent a weekend. They plugged into our networks and then ran quite a lot of testing. So that was across both the fixed LAN and the WAN. But they ran some testing, and now that's built into Newstore as well. So if you do have network outages and droppages and slowage, then Newstore got visibility over it before it even happens, and that alerts back up to them. So whilst we're monitoring it, Meraki's monitoring it, then Newstore have a view of it. They don't see the data, obviously, but they see the peaks and troughs. But they're working on that as well.
And just as an aside to that, there is an offline mode that if you need to and the whole thing doesn't work, you can still go offline and you can still transact and you can still take sales, most importantly.
We're in a norming phase at the minute, so we're just trying to establish the internal IT team, well, the digital team now, to work more closely with the e-com team, because as we go down the omni-channel journey, we're starting to understand more about the data that we're collecting. We're starting to understand more about our customer. So then it's, well, how do we pivot to maximize that? I know that we've got more store openings. I know that we're going down other routes in terms of shipping our products across the globe, because we produce a lot of the stuff that we make. But from a tech perspective, next is to adopt more Omni features. We're driving new features through the website. We're doing some interesting stuff with our loyalty scheme that should be come out in a couple of months. And then obviously we're working with Apadme and Talon One and Absolute Labs and everybody else to then refocus on what we want our consumer app to be and how we want that to function both in-store, online and at home. So there's loads and loads to do. We don't have a potterless bucket of cash, but we do have a lot of people and extraordinary people back at the office that are working really hard to try and capture the market and chase down our competitors. We all know who they are. In a world where we're all selling trainers, we need to be a little bit different, and I think we're doing a good job of that, in my humble opinion, of course.
And we've recently done working with the Bring It To Me shouts as well. So the functionality on within Newstore that Footasylum have very much sort of driven is this Bring It To Me idea, whereas you can go into the store, you don't have to talk to a store associate if you don't want to. You can scan a barcode,
QR
launches
code.
up the app, choose the size of your trainer, and the trainers miraculously appear.
Yeah, so we've got a trial going at the minute. We're in 6 stores across the country where we've got QR codes in the fitting rooms, on the mirrors. You scan that, scan the products you've got with you, and then we can get somebody to take that to them. At this point in the calendar year, as we know, working in retail, it's quite tight on staff, but we're just basically working with them to try and establish what do customers want, because knocking on the door of a 14-year-old who's getting change isn't right. So we're trying to work out what that needs to look like and get a working model. But yeah, thank you. It's there's lots more to come from Footasylum.
Yeah.
I think maybe we have still time for one last question.
So how do we maintain security and compliance in the cash drawers? So what I alluded to earlier was that when you're an in-store associate, you can scan and open a cash drawer from anywhere. That is logged. We have the events that are then sent through to Newstore and then into our data lake that we're monitoring. We've also got them covered with CCTV, but every time a cash drawer is opened, it's closed for any reason. So if there's a sale or if there's petty cash withdrawal, petty cash goes in, all of those events are logged in Newstore, so they can see that at a store level, but then we also see it at an overarching level, so we can monitor how many times has a cash drawer been opened in particular, so that we can then track that against an associate and see what's happened, where, why, who, when, and then we can send relevant people in to investigate if you need to. But working with the profit protection, loss prevention teams, we've been able to build the compliance and the regs and the rules and the training in store to make sure that we're more compliant than we were before, because before you could just open it and you didn't know it had been opened, whereas now we know it's been opened and everything that's happened within it, which I think tells a story in terms of that compliance piece. Yeah.
Thank you. I think our time did run out. I hope it was really interesting, and would like to thank Will and Richard for giving this wonderful presentation. And I thank you all for visiting us. And I wish you a nice afternoon. Thank you.
Bye, London.